Your boss just sent another passive-aggressive email at 11 p.m. Tomorrow, there'll be another impossible deadline, another public criticism, another day wondering if you can keep doing this. What would Seneca say? Lucius Annaeus Seneca was born in 4 BC into a wealthy Roman family. He climbed to become one of Rome's most powerful advisors, but his real education in toxic leadership came when he became tutor and later chief advisor to Emperor Nero. Nero wasn't just a bad boss. He was psychopathic, narcissistic, and capable of ordering executions on a whim. Seneca spent 8 years walking a tightrope, trying to moderate a monster while protecting his own life. He understood toxic authority intimately. Eventually, Nero turned on Seneca and ordered him to commit suicide. Seneca complied with philosophical composure. But before that end, he spent decades developing strategies for maintaining inner freedom while serving volatile, unreasonable people in power. The core Stoic principle Seneca articulated is the dichotomy of control. In Greek, ta ephemen and ta uk ephemen, what is up to us and what is not. But Seneca took it further than other Stoics. He wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of our misery comes not from what our boss actually does, but from our interpretation, our anticipation, our catastrophizing. The toxic boss has power over your schedule and your paycheck. They do not have power over your inner citadel. In his letters, Seneca explicitly addressed working under difficult people. He argued that such people are training equipment for the soul, not because suffering is noble, but because navigating injustice without losing yourself is the highest form of freedom. The psychological insight here is profound. Your boss's behavior reflects their internal chaos, not your value. When you internalize their criticism, you're volunteering to carry their disorder inside your mind. Seneca asks, why would you do that? First technique, the evening audit. Seneca practiced this nightly. Each evening, review your workday not as a victim, but as an observer. What happened? What did your boss say or do? Now separate fact from interpretation. Write 2 columns. Left side, objective facts. Your boss said your report was incomplete. You missed the meeting deadline. Right side, your interpretation. Your boss hates you, you're failing, you're going to get fired. See the difference? Here's a specific example. Your boss publicly criticized your presentation. Objective fact, they said it lacked data on slide 7. Your interpretation, they humiliated you intentionally. Everyone thinks you're incompetent, your career is over. The audit reveals that you added emotional weight that wasn't there. Maybe your boss is just tactless. Maybe they were stressed. Maybe they're right about slide 7. By separating fact from story, you reclaim mental space. You stop carrying their chaos inside you. Do this every evening for 2 weeks. You'll notice patterns. You'll see how much suffering you generate through interpretation. And gradually, your boss's behavior will lose its power to colonize your thoughts at night. You're training detachment. Second technique, premeditation of adversity. Seneca called it premeditatio malorum. Before your workday, visualize the worst realistic scenario with your boss. Not catastrophe, realistic difficulty. Imagine them criticizing your work in front of colleagues. Imagine another unreasonable deadline. Imagine them taking credit for your project. Now mentally rehearse how you'll respond with dignity and tact. What will you say? What will you not say? This isn't pessimism, it's emotional preparation. When your boss actually does these things, you're not shocked or reactive. You already decided your response. You're acting from principle, not impulse. Specific example. You know your boss often interrupts you in meetings. Before today's meeting, you visualize it happening. You decide in advance. You'll pause, let them finish, then calmly say, I'd like to complete my point. You won't get defensive or silent. When it actually happens, you execute your rehearsed response. It feels calm, almost easy. Your colleagues notice. More importantly, you notice. You just prove to yourself that you can maintain composure under pressure. That's power your boss can't take. Third technique, the resignation rehearsal. This is Seneca's most radical advice. Regularly imagine losing this job. Visualize yourself fired, walking out with your belongings. Feel it. Now ask, would you survive? The answer is probably yes. You'd find another job, you'd adjust your lifestyle, you'd be okay. This isn't encouragement to quit recklessly. It's recognition that your boss holds less power than your fear suggests. Seneca wrote that slavery is choosing to remain in chains after the door is opened. Many people endure toxic bosses because they've never seriously considered the alternative. They're imprisoned by an unlocked door. Practice this monthly. Imagine your exit. Update your resume. Check job postings. Even if you don't apply, you're reminding yourself that you have agency. Suddenly, your toxic boss becomes a choice you're making, not a fate you're suffering. That psychological shift changes everything. You're no longer desperate. When you speak up in meetings, it's from a place of internal freedom, not fear. Your boss senses the difference. Some even adjust their behavior when they realize they can't control your self-worth. Here's the common pitfall. People think stoicism means enduring abuse silently, that you should stay in toxic situations because complaining is unvirtuous. Seneca would call that cowardice disguised as philosophy. Stoicism is not passivity. Seneca himself tried repeatedly to retire from Nero's service. He understood that there's a difference between accepting external circumstances and volunteering for psychological destruction. You're allowed to leave. The goal isn't to tolerate toxicity indefinitely, it's to maintain your dignity while you're there and to leave from a place of clarity rather than desperation. That's the distinction. You're choosing your response, not numbing yourself to mistreatment. Seneca also warned against becoming what you hate. If you stay too long under a toxic boss, you risk absorbing their methods. You might become cynical, manipulative, or bitter. Stoicism includes knowing when the situation is no longer training, but damage. So let's synthesize this. Seneca spent years advising a man who would eventually kill him. He never had the option to quit. You probably do. That's the first thing to recognize. Your situation is more flexible than his was. But until you leave, or if you choose to stay for strategic reasons, you can protect your inner freedom. The evening audit trains you to separate fact from catastrophic interpretation. You stop living in your boss's emotional weather. The premeditation of adversity builds resilience. You walk into difficult situations already prepared, not reactive. You respond with dignity because you've already decided who you are in that moment. The resignation rehearsal ensures you never forget your agency. You're there by choice, even if it's a constrained choice. That psychological shift from victim to agent changes how you show up every single day. Seneca's final lesson is this: your toxic boss is temporary. Nero's reign felt eternal to those living through it, but history reduced him to a cautionary tale. Your boss will be a story you tell, not the author of your life. Don't give them that power now. If this gave you something to think about, I'll see you in the next one.